The search for truth. The search for truth. The search for truth. The search for truth.
How can you ask such a question?
There's one terrible pilot.
The question is, where are we now and where are we going? We are collectively brainwashed semi-automatons being force-marched toward extinction by rulers who are tunnel-vision bullies and moral zeros.
Communities which concentrate decision-making in a few hands rate low on a power scale and are moving towards despotism.
I would call upon all governments everywhere to remember that they are accountable to the people of the world. We elect them, they should answer to us.
This business about open-mindedness is nonsense.
About as often as we hear the phrase conspiracy theorist, we hear the phrase conspiracy nut, conspiracy buff, as though Albert Einstein were a physics buff.
The government of Canada today is quite content with the notion that the entire globe is one vast series of U.S. Zones of U.S. interest.
Planes were crashing into the World Trade Center towers, and the Pentagon went right on with their meeting.
When a competent observer looks for signs of despotism in a community, he looks beyond fine words and noble phrases.
Constitutional democracy has been suspended, both in the United States and in Canada.
Clearly, the war on terrorism is actually a war of terrorism against the people of the United States and the world.
They know that we have power. Otherwise, they wouldn't come up with these pretexts. They know that they need to con the public.
They've gone too far, and this time it's the last time.
The people will read and accept exactly what the few in control want them to.
The simple answer is we have a propaganda machine called television.
And look at the picture it gives you of the terrorists. Red bandanas, carrying box cutters, and yet saying, oh, you want to make a cell phone? Please, go ahead.
If a community's economic distribution becomes slanted, its middle-income groups grow smaller, and despotism stands a better chance to gain a foothold.
New York Times tells us that about 1% now of the population owns and controls some 90% of the national wealth.
We have not only to be in mourning at the death of 3,000 innocent people, but also of the nearly total breakdown of the media's constitutional function in democratic societies.
Obviously, the Washington politicians have turned the commission into a tool to perpetuate its own agenda.
There were dozens and dozens of leads that should have led to the halt of this operation.
If you study the history of steel frame buildings, only demolition and severe earthquakes have produced what is described as total collapse of steel frame buildings.
Can you tell us who you think is actually behind or responsible for September 11th?
1984 is becoming a reality today, 20 years after the day it was projected into the future. 9/11 has provided the pretext for the global military expansion we are seeing today, with its enormous cost in lives, federal funding, and environmental damage.
I'm here to get to the truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
We are more awake than we ever have been. We have much more waking up to do, and especially we owe it to our fellow citizens to help them rub the sleep out of their eyes. Thank you.
The criminality of this regime is out of the closet.